That was, yeah, I mean, it'd be like 96, 97, 98, so I'm not worried. Yeah, but I find like doing more stuff. I go, it's just, but you guys, well, we're doing a lot of those presentation options. We're hoping to see more city. The city, I see that getting a lot of people this one. You guys talk the same. So yeah, that's that. I think lost for yeah, I got no place for you. Like I think one of those things you don't get anywhere else. Like so, like I love that. We we're 5 of those had to take a break, unfortunately. You're fine. It's like we get to go live or probably not next week.
We are recording this meeting to the cloud and then we're going to post it to YouTube.
Nice.
So you could not figure out live streaming the way that it's super easy in the union. Hello, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and get this meeting started. This is the orientation meeting of Tuition and Fee Strategies Committee. My name is Kate Thomas. I am the Speaker of the Student Senate. I am co-chairing this committee with.
My name is Caleb Stout. I've met most of you, but I'm student body president. And Kate already addressed the elephant in the room. That is the room. We're not in the union. I tried every room in the union in Hale and worked out great for this joy. But this is what we'll be for every meeting, same time, same place. Just go ahead and come on up to 3042 for each one. So with that, we will start with introductions of you all, and then we'll get into the presentation.
Yeah, I do want to address one more thing for those of you who have been here before. We're also on a slightly shorter timeline than we typically are due to some scheduling conflicts. We are doing presentations and Q&A in the same day, and then doing the review/recommendation in the second day. So we have moved from a 3-day review of the colleges to a 2-day review. This is also because the original timeline we set had our last meeting in the first week of Thanksgiving break. So during Thanksgiving break. So we sent out the schedule to everyone, but we'll go over that again. If we want to go ahead and do introductions. Name and why you're here.
Kelvin Peterson, College of Ag.
Dakota Broughton, College of Engineering.
Drew Bellamy, College of Education. Jacob Bond, Student Service Teacher.
I'm Jess Bigley, I'm Student Body Vice President.
I'm Brandon Kermer, College of Architecture.
I'm Robert Rucker, College of Art and Science.
Vince Weber, I'm over at K-State Salina, and I teach business.
Thomas Lane, the students. RJ Holden, College of Computer Sciences. Ethan Erickson, Vice President, Administration and Finance. Chuck Tabor, Provost. And Mike McClure, I'm the Dean of Architecture, Planning and Design.
And those on Zoom, would you like to go ahead and introduce yourselves?
Hello, yeah, good evening. Oh, do you go? Yep, you first. Sorry.
You got it. Go for it.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Marcus Kidd. I'm a grad student in the College of Ed, or representing the graduate school, but then also work full time in the College of Ed doing recruiting.
And then I'm Katie Zacco. I am in the College of Business, and I'm a student senator.
So now that we have done our introductions, you'll see that we have one student from each of our academic colleges here representing, as well as some other committee members that we will outline here in a second. If there are no questions on that, I'm going to go ahead and kick us off. Awesome. So TFSC historically, in 2001, administration proposed a 5-year tuition plan that had substantial increases in tuition and fees. And in 2005, a student special committee to study long-term tuition strategies was on a 5-year basis, reported to Faculty Senate and the Student Governing Association. In 2010, a permanent committee was established as TSC, cooperation between administration, faculty, and students. KBOR was uncertain and had like some uncertainty and didn't know how feasible it was for students to do it alone. In 2014, TFSC was recognized in the bylaws to include fees, not just tuition. And in 2020, CTCs were redefined and clarified in bylaws as CFCs. College tuition committees turned into college fee committees. Yes. That is the history. Here's our funding over time. The state general fund and student tuition graph. Funding principles were developed through collaboration and serve as fundamental guidelines for this TFSC process that we go through every year. Those principles are balancing the needs of the university with affordability for all students, preserving transparency of tuition, fees, surcharges, and the review process, maintaining a tuition and fee structure that is simple and easy to communicate, and remaining competitive in both the resident and non-resident student markets. A quick preface, the expectations and the purpose. What is our purpose, our why for being here, and then what expectations do we have for ourselves as an individual, as a committee, and for our co-chairs. So the committee structure, we went through introductions, but there are the co-chairs, myself and Caleb, a representative from each of our colleges, a Salina campus representative. Those are all of our voting members of the committee. And then we have the student body vice president here to take minutes, the student services fee chair, Dr. Lane, Ethan Erickson, Provost Tabor, and the faculty senate president or someone that they have appointed. Do we know who that's going to be? Oh,
Tom Van Bergen reached out to me and asked me to attend on his span.
are you also the faculty or the Salina campus rep?
No, that's
Cassie.
Cassie, the student body president.
The SGA.
Yeah.
Awesome. Those are all of our ex officio members denoted by the star that's there. Okay.
I think there's a drunk person running the crowd. I was gonna say, it is incredibly bad today. It's live on campus.
There's we can, yeah.
You got credit for that, right?
Well, I'm gonna leave it for now. Here's a little bit of our, and those are a little bit wrong. So in October, we have the College of Agriculture fee review. And then we have our fee review for the College of Architecture, Planning, and Design. I have those dates that I sent out in an email to all of you. They're wrong on this. So we have orientation this week,
And then ag, which was.
ag on the 17th with their Q&A. On October 24th, we have the College of Ag decision. October 31st, College of APD fee presentation and Q&A. And then on November 7th, we have the APD fee decision. And then we will see in May, the first reading of that tuition proposal to KBOR, and in June, the KBOR action on the tuition proposal.
Yeah, and so what's valuable, like, for the committee, I know, a lot of you have pretty extensive background in like SGA, and kind of know how things work, but anything with regards to changing like tuition, fees, that kind of stuff, we have to go get it approved by the Kansas Board of Regents. That's the group that governs all higher education in the state of Kansas. So TFSC is something that kind of aids in that process, and that's why this timeline is efficient to see like it all kind of points towards when we take it all to K-Board and see what they have to say.
So managing expectations, when would the change in tuition and fees go into effect?
The first of the fiscal year,
So the year 24, 25?
It's usually effective the fall semester.
fall
So
semester.
any changes in tuition fees, that's when it's,
So almost a year from now, we come into effect.
yeah, correct, yeah, correct.
And so,
I was gonna say, and we review them like on a 3-year cycle. And so any changes went into effect fall '24, then sit on them for a couple more years until we came back around.
and, like I was saying, right, before this committee kicked off, this is really not to assess. It is not intended to assess increases or decreases, it is more so to assess fee utilization and just make sure that it's being spent the way that it's supposed to be spent, rather than, suggesting an increase or decrease, unless that is what the college is asking of us. This is the fee review process, like Caleb mentioned, it is on a 3-year cycle, so we are in year C, which is APD and AD, and what would be the College of Education, if they chose to have a fee, they are the only college without a fee, and so they are not being reviewed. Next year, it'll be business and arts and sciences, and then the year after, it'll be engineering and HHS. When reviewing the college, TFSC shall review all of the fees for that college. So for engineering, the group must review the faculty surcharge, including all increases over the last 3 years, and the equipment fee. We shall obtain a revenue and expense report from the Vice President for Administration and Finance. And the Dean of College, the college shall present to TFSC. If TFSC doesn't find any cause for concern, they vote for a continuation. This is typically what happens in the 4 years that I've been in SGA. If they do find a concern, a majority vote will create a CFC to evaluate the concerns, which may come with the request for a modification or suggestions to the college. And the recommendation will come back to TFSC from the CFC to approve or deny that recommendation. Are there any questions there? Awesome. This is what it has looked like. We are combining presentation and Q&A this year because of scheduling. We believe that also by combining presentation and Q&A, you have the ability to have the information that's freshest on your mind when you're asking questions, and then if there's anything that the dean is unable to answer after presenting, they then have a week before the decision to get back to us with any answers that they might have, either by coming to the decision or emailing us ahead of time to have that information communicated through your co-chairs. Peer review outcomes. It has to be any increases or changes have to be approved as a brand new fee proposal. Any breach of this agreement will issue an automatic fee review process. The first outcome is approval of fee utilization, saying, yeah, they're spending their fees how they said they were going to spend their fees. Everything looks good. We suggest a continuation for the next 3 years. The second outcome is a disapproval of fee utilization. The college would be placed on probation. TFSC would compile a report to the president and provost explaining the reasoning behind their disapproval. And the college must report to TFSC the following year, where the committee can recommend continuation, reduction, or termination of the fee. So if a college were spending their fee on things that they weren't supposed to, they would then come next year when engineering and arts and sciences are being reviewed, and they would have to prove that they've put themselves in order. And TFSC would issue a new recommendation. Here's the fee proposal process. The college will submit the proposal to the provost. Provost approves the proposal to proceed. TFSC would select and initiate CFC. The college would present to CFC and hold open forums on a new fee. CFC would recommend approval or disapproval of the proposal to TFSC. TFSC recommends approval or disapproval of proposals to the president. And then the president approves or denies the fee proposal. And then if approved, the president would take the fee proposal to K-Board for final approval. And this is if they're requesting an increase or a change in the fee. This is not in the case that they just want a continuance on their fee. Fee committees. These are formed to judge the merits of a proposed fee increase. This would include myself and Caleb to co-chair, but we would not be voting members. A TFSC representative from that college. So either of our, if it were APD, then it would be either of our 2 APD senators, or if it was AG, then it would be one of our AG senators, not necessarily the one in this room. And they would be voting. We would have other TFSC, the other TFSC representatives would be non-voting, with provost, vice president of student life, and the vice president administration and finance. There we go. And at least half the members of the respective college caucus. And then a group of college leaders, 3 more than the caucus chosen from the college council, MSOs, freshmen, sophomore, junior, senior, and graduate students. And the remaining are chosen, at-large positions are chosen by myself and Caleb. And this is in the instance where they are requesting an increase. Questions? Jacob?
Do we know if either would be requesting an increase?
Neither have.
So, I have not received any requests this year. I've not heard from any colleges. If they want to, they may still between now and the deadline.
Yes. I was going to say, I haven't either. I haven't heard that from either. But potentially. Dakota.
Do they need to be approved for any like recommendations we make on how they utilize their fee? Like that doesn't have to be approved only if they're changing the amount of the fee.
We are just saying, like, here's what they said they were going to spend it on, and here's what they did spend it on. So it is the recommendations for how they spent it that they set. Are there further questions?
Would one of our returning administrators be willing to share some of their experiences from TFSC, kind of maybe good questions to ask, things to remember, experiences, advice, anything like that for the committee?
Like, I think one of the things to first recognize is that there's an important tradition with this body in terms of the governance aspect that this body is involved in. Many of us work at other institutions, and that's not been the case in terms of this high level of student involvement in discussion of tuition and fees. So I do encourage you to take this responsibility seriously and deliberately as you ask questions to the proposers or the responders to how fee has been spent. I think the big key question to ask is, have the dollars been spent in the spirit of what the fee was designed for? I think that's the most crucial question for this body to determine. Provost?
I agree with that, everything he said. Just to augment where Dr. Lynch started, this is special. This relationship we have with students at Kent State is unlike any university I've had experience with, and it's a source of strength for the university, and we can work together on these kinds of things. So I agree with Dr. Lane. I mean, let's take this seriously, work on it together, and evaluate the proposals this year. I don't know if we get proposals for new fees or not, but the evaluation of the existing fees, it's an important responsibility, and looking forward to hearing your input.
And Provost Jacob, will you be here with us for the duration of TFSC?
I will not, so I will only be for the first half. You can think of the year as divided into 2 halves. The first half, you'll be evaluating existing fees. And the second half, if there are proposals for new fees, you'll be evaluating new fees. The second half will be for that.
I had a question on that business person inflation. You were saying that you hadn't seen any new fees or increases from others. The fact that we've had inflation, the fact that when we make this, the group makes the decision, those fees are in place effectively for 4 years from now. Do you foresee the groups coming in and asking for an increase on their fee schedule because of increased costs, or have you heard anything?
I haven't heard anything for this year around increased fees because of increased cost of living. Inflation drives it, makes everything more expensive than it is. So one of the things you may see in the presentations from the colleges is that the fees that may have been accrued 5 years ago are not buying the same amount of service for students that was intended with that fee. And I would ask you to take into account the fact in most cases that there are inflationary pressures. And it should not be viewed as a failure by a college if they're not able to deliver all of the same services that they originally planned. But I do think looking forward, that this is something that colleges are going to have to pay attention to, either through tuition increases, which is one way to handle it, or through fee increases, which may be in order, you may start to get proposals from colleges that say, we're not able, let's say that they had a fee earlier that was designed to bring more advisors for students into the college. And that's what purpose the fees may be used for. And, you know, so they were supposed to bring in 10 new advisors or something, and they can now only afford 7 of those advisors because of inflationary pressures. It's possible the college can come forward and say, we need an increase in fee in order to cover the full 10 of the question promise students. I do think that kind of thing may happen.
Thank you.
And what's that deadline again?
It's November 1st, I think, or it's in November, early November, I think.
The only other comment I might add is there's no dumb question, right? Anything's up for grabs. It's we're here to answer. We're here to help explain our activities, our actions, how we're utilizing the fee. So don't be afraid to ask a question. It's our responsibility to be able to answer it for you. So I think there'll be other add on that.
Sure. Yeah, you will definitely see that the deans are eager to answer the questions.
And are your, is
Oh, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a doctor.
And I'm not a doctor that can help him.
in higher ed, I always just default to doctorate. Because for those who do have doctorates, if I were not to use it, lots of them get real upset about it. And so is your office preparing?
You did the right way. That's what you should do.
Yeah. Is your office giving those numbers to you to give to the committee? Are they giving them directly to the deans? How is that institution?
So what we look at it as more as a partnership. So Fran Wilbrand, the associate vice president in my office for financial services, she's been reaching out and working with, in this case, Sharon Hartwig, the college's business officer, as we go through and verify that the numbers, we reconcile to the numbers. And we'll do the same thing on College Back as well.
Awesome.
That's kind of how we partner on that.
Any questions online? I didn't see it.
Jacob, did you have another question?
The question you had.
Are there any further questions?
No, I'm serious. I didn't have the full agenda. Was there something else that we were supposed to cover tonight?
No, this was an orientation meeting. The other meetings will be much longer, not much longer, but they will fill the time they have slotted to fill. This orientation was meant to be shorter and really just for individuals to get a feel for what you signed yourselves up for those of you who did sign up, and what you are here to do for those of you who did not sign yourselves up.
Will there be read aheads for people, the more knowledgeable we are before a meeting, the more they provide us, and the more we can manage our own time, would the groups be willing to provide us readheads, or is it catch as catch can?
As soon as I have the information from deans, I will send it out to you all. I know that, there's a bit of a quick turnaround for the College of Agriculture, in that they are presenting next week. And the College of Architecture, this is Dean McClure's first time doing this presentation. So they are working their hardest, and as soon as I have the information, you all will have the information. But if that is an hour before the meeting, then that is an hour before the meeting.
Kate, have you shared with the deans for this cycle, past examples?
Yes.
Probably just mean you maybe share with us the past examples. That's a good idea.
Sure, yeah. I can send out to the rest of the committee members, the examples of presentations from last year, so you know what kind of information you're going to receive. And the same information that I gave to the deans. Yes, Jacob.
Where are the recommendations for these two groups from the last 3 years ago stored?
That's a great question.
I think public.
I will check.
The recommendation of this committee for ag.
I'll check with Nate Bothwell on that. So that would have been Nate Bothwell.
Yes.
So I will check with Nate Bothwell on that.
Yeah.
I'm not a voting member, so I'll ask this as, would you want to know the presentation from these groups 3 or 4 years ago to see what they presented before? This is your meeting, this is what you guys control, it's your money. I just want to know what, to facilitate what would help you make a better decision.
Yes, I have currently in my possession numbers, presentations from the past 2 years, but not from 3 years ago, the last time that these groups were, but I can get a hold of that information and send it out to the committee.
If you have trouble finding that, let me, then I can give you answers.
By the way, I'm a consultant here, I don't vote. If I ask a question or put you in the wrong direction, that's not my intent. And so, please, let me ask, but again, this is my first meeting as well as many of you.
Are there further questions and or further information the committee would like me to prep for next week? Awesome, that is all that I have for you. We'll give you an hour of your life back,
The rest of us go to our next.
and I will.
Yes.
see you next week. Thank you all.
You guys do.
So the numbers that shown. Yeah.
Good morning.